So this is September 2022, and I'm standing pretty much right where I was back in 2001 or 2002 when I filmed the Black House Homestead that used to stand up on this rise from about the late 50s, early 60s or so, or maybe a little later, through to that time. And at that time I was sort of lamenting the destruction of the interiors of it due to vandals, and at that point it was about ready to, of course, get controlled, burned, and demolished by the county. Now over here, the steps to it, and also on either side of it were yew bushes, and then we go up onto where the house itself was, and the fireplace sat right here, and you entered a living room area, and there were a couple of bedrooms off to the back here. That's the corner of it, right here, the house. And there would have been other bushes lined along the back here. And then proceeding to the north, and within easy view of Bond Lake proper, this is Clyde L. Burmaster Park, otherwise known as Bond Lake Park. And, by the locals. Over here would have been the garage and a kind of solarium, and over here more would have been a fountain area and a pool, decorative assembly here, going out to about here, and the driveway would have come in over here more. So that's what was up on this rise here. And not much, of course, remains of what happened here. And this was actually one of, if not the last, house proper that existed in this zone, as other ones were controlled, burned, or demolished. Now, flanking the southern lake over here, to the south of it all, is this rest area and possible boat launching dock, a semi-enclosed space. You can still see the steps that go down into it, and the retaining walls there. Back then, this back end would have been level like the front part still is, and with the way this kind of looks, you can tell there was some kind of a wall there too. And some of it broken away there, but this is where the family would kind of gather for maybe a morning or evening respite. And the house sat back in there on the hilltop. Again, just south or so of Bond Lake, and just to the north and the east of the next lake down. There are several lakes in this system. Some of them go to the Ice Age, while others were quarries originally. Up in that area, where the mounds are, probably mounds of dirt and debris from the quarry days, are large coils of metal and piles of old steel. And it was probably either fencing or something else related to the quarrying process. But after the quarries in this part of the system closed in the 20s and 30s, they dumped it all up there. Here we have a metal base and a chunk of concrete and a circular form, which tells us that this is probably one of the two clothes poles that were back here. At last call, I hadn't been back here in a while, but there used to be two clothes poles here, and evidently they had been removed by the county, probably as a safety measure. Trying to find the other one. There it is. So this is where the clothes pole stood in this zone. what used to be more lawn, presumably, and that's where the lawn stops today. You could see how easy it is for cemeteries and places like this to be encroached with wildlife and overgrowth in almost no time. Just past this area here, it starts to get very flat, and that's because there are concrete pads here, starting from about here and going further over another 15, maybe 20 feet. And this must have been where there was a garage or a storage area. And it could have been burned down by vandals or taken down earlier, who knows. You can see the corner part of this slab. And of course the clothes poles start about here over. So that was the arrangement. You had maybe a 2-bay garage or other storage unit, the clothes poles from there to there, those are fields, and eventually the gun range way over there, and the house, which sat right there. In my older video, I go from room to room and sort of show you what was left. It was actually in good shape structurally, and, you know, could have been preserved in another place, but because it's so far isolated, they took the house down. And again, here we are going up onto the rise where the Black House Homestead used to be. It was a butterfly sanctuary and study building for a while. I think UB or NU, one of the colleges, maybe in CCC, did studies up here. And this was a kind of school and learning space for a while. So that about covers it. The remains of the Black House Homestead and a follow-up to the now 20-year-old camcorder video of the same spot. I'm glad I got here when I did.